Joe likes Scorsese, and Raanan is Jewy. It's Joe and Raanan talk movies.
You rolling?
We're rolling. We're back.
We're back.
Action.
Just cut. That's it. That's the whole show, right?
We're live.
Joe and Raanan talk movies.
Joe and Raanan talk. New title. New title, new us, new show.
But
Scandals and Animals.
I gotta be a dick right away, or not a dick, but a shill, because I have the special. I want to just talk about it right away. I'm sorry, but like I went on Jim and Sam to promote it. It's great, but we just look at snuff porn the whole time, and then I forget to like mention it.
I did this with Rogan. I did a 5.5 hour Rogan episode. At the last second, as he's like closing the drapes, I'm like, I have a new special.
You just talk about aliens the whole time. It's like
it's bad. And then same with Segura's pod. We're just watching TikToks. And
I
I'm
know.
like, okay, wow, here's a guy cutting his dick skin off. And
people
I'm
are
like,
watching this, and at the very end, it's like we literally watched like videos where people were actually murdered. That's my promotional campaign. If you get through an hour and a half of us just talking about murder videos you can't see, then I'll promote my special.
well, Jason Katz, my brilliant special director, he said, he's like, after I did like 10 podcasts, he's like, would you mind doing me a favor? Just mention it early, because most people don't make it to the end.
I know.
Of the thing.
Well, I feel like we've already lost like 200 people already. I could have gotten them. So my special, I'm taping it this Monday. This Monday at the Comedy Cellar, the Village Underground, 8 p.m.
This comes out Tuesday.
What the fuck? Is this Tuesday's Stories? Am I Mark Norman?
I wish.
And then this Monday, 8 p.m. already sold out. Still some tickets left for the 10 p.m. If you want to support Zionism and Israel, go get them.
Don't even get me started. This thing will get ugly quick.
I'm joking.
This might be the thing that makes me vote Republican. I'm not joking. They've broken me.
I know.
The stuff that's going on the campus, I mean, we can't. Sorry, I can't.
Well,
but
we'll
I'm
get
like,
into
that's it. It's happened.
But anyway.
They broke me.
10 p.m. Tickets. Go to comedycellar.com.
Trump 2024.
Go to comedycellar.com and go to the October 23rd Monday and reserve the tickets. It's 10 p.m. Go now. It's going to be sold out very quickly, the 10 p.m. So go and get it. All right.
And if you just want to be openly anti-Semitic, take it to the streets. There's no problems. Just go ahead and do it. Unfucking believable. Anyways, let's talk movies.
But real quickly,
speaking of Jews, let's get into movies.
Real quickly, because the Israel thing, I do just get like so frustrated.
I can't even. I can't.
But
I'm now a person that uses the term "I can't even." That's what they've done to me.
Well, I will say, like, every time you look back on it, you get frustrated all over again by something.
Yes.
And the thing I got frustrated about recently, and by the way, I'm a fucking liberal, I hate Netanyahu, blah, blah, blah. But like, the thing I got frustrated is, if you're in the woke culture and a black person says, accuses someone of racism, you have to be like, well, it's clearly racism. No matter what it is, if a black person says it's racism, you have to respect that. You have to respect if a transgender person. But anytime a Jew says it's anti-Semitism, I was like, shut the fuck up, you whiny bitch. It's like,
it's rampant and acceptable.
Yeah, it's crazy. I saw a fucking comic. I don't want to say his name. A pothead moron, not Jewish, just tweet out, it's not about anti-Semitism. I mean, this guy is not exactly a scholar of like the Middle East politics, but like the audacity to tweet that.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't.
As a woke guy, that's my thing. You are woke. Be consistent.
That's all they are, is inconsistent.
Yeah,
I mean, I can't. It's going to ruin my career and my life. It's nuts. It's fucking crazy.
Well, supporting Israel will still help your career, at least for now.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not even sure anymore. I think it used to be back in
who knows?
a year and a half
10
ago.
10 years, you're going to have to behead an Israeli just to get on the Tonight Show.
Well, before it was okay to support Israel, and then a bunch of terrorists flew in and raped them and stole their babies and cut heads off, and now it's not acceptable anymore.
They cut off the heads, they cut off the dicks of the babies. Get it right. This is Israel.
We just got demonetized. God damn it.
All right, let's stop talking
it's nuts. But,
but we support suffering on all sides.
We support suffering on all sides.
I mean, we grieve for suffering. Whatever the pussy stance is.
We grieve. But yeah, there's been some great tweets and jokes and podcasts. But anyways, let's talk
movies.
Film.
Well, the topic today, we're going to be a little all over the place.
We have no topic, really.
The topic is go to my special. But other than that, we're going to talk, and this is a question. You're really finally thinking about algorithm shit.
Yeah.
Oh, should we talk about the sleeping pill thing first? I feel like
No, we're gonna talk about movie. We have 9 topics. I want to talk about Vertigo. I saw
All right, let's
Vertigo
talk about
last
Vertigo.
night.
The title of this topic is Does Kubrick Stink? We're going to talk. We're going to, at the end, go through every Kubrick movie. But before that, let's talk about
Not
Vertigo.
every movie.
I'm joking.
I haven't watched any, but we're trying to make it work for you guys. And I'm trying to do a mindful metal jacket, mental health pod.
Yeah.
No one gives a fuck about it. They're like, get the fucking asshole back on here. It's amazing. They all hate you. So I quit, and then they're like, hey, where's Raanan? What is this?
I know.
You're like, I don't know. Who's the guy everyone hates?
But then they miss him when he's gone.
Yeah. You're like
Israel. I feel like everyone would miss Israel when it's gone.
You know what? A lot of it, yeah. It's like some of these people, these left wing people, have like Alex Jones takes.
Oh yeah.
Where they're just like, no, that didn't happen. I'm like, you're Alex Jones. It's crazy.
Holocaust
they don't see
denialism.
it.
Yeah.
Are you fucking nuts? Anyways, so I went and saw Vertigo last night.
Well, I love Vertigo. I have the poster on my wall.
That I gave to you. I had the poster.
And,
Everything you have up there is mine, including the apartment. I got you the apartment.
Sarah's
I got you
up
the
there
poster.
right
I got
now.
you the books. I got you everything.
Can I have the baby?
Dude, I could. And Lex gave you a couch. You're a real freeloader.
Yeah,
you know
I'm a
what?
freeloader.
I changed my stance. The Jew, it's enough already. It's enough already with these Jays. By the way, we're like peaking. We got the volume here. I think this is going to be fucked.
Really?
It's shooting off the
Lex, do you want to
charts.
look at it? I don't know.
You
It's
don't have
like
to look at it. It looks like this. It's peaking. Well, when you talk, it's peaking.
really. But yeah.
Nah, that's better.
All right, I'll talk quieter.
Yeah.
So, I'm like Seinfeld when he has to be serious on the double date. So, what did you think about Vertigo?
The double date. What are you talking about?
When George makes him like
He's trying to be funny.
Yeah.
Is this funny? It's funny.
Am I being funny right now? You're being very funny.
First I want to talk about. All right, we'll come back to Vertigo. But we were arguing. I say season 8 and 9 of Seinfeld are dumb, and you say they're what? What's the word you use?
Absurd. They're not dumb. That's
They
like
are
saying,
dumb.
That's like saying Naked Gun is dumb.
No. Well, no. It would be like saying Naked Gun is dumb if they did 7 movies before that were completely tonally different and based
what
somewhat
I'm
in reality.
What I'm saying is a tonal shift does not necessarily mean dumb. It just means a change.
It's dumb. No, it's dumb because Kramer now is lost at the intersection of first and first when he wouldn't be. So it's dumb.
Well, I guess that's absurd. I guess I'm saying there's not as much memory to previous things. It's like absurd. But it's still a funny concept. It's not like dumb. It's not like...
It's dumb. It's dumb.
Dumb?
It's dumb that Kramer, who is a New Yorker, pure New Yorker, who's rerouting the fire department for the most efficient way, now is and lived in the East Village, is now unfamiliar with the intersection of First Avenue and First Street. That's dumb.
But
it doesn't make any sense. And another thing that is dumb is Jerry, who is a neat freak. That is his character. That's who he is. He's a neat freak. He wants Newman to flush the toilet twice. George says he doesn't even let you use the bathroom.
When is he not neat?
In the second to last episode, where he's dating a maid, and then he stops when he's sleeping with the maid, so she stops cleaning, so his house is just a mess. There's just shit everywhere, and it makes zero sense. It is literally dumb. There's no other way. I will not accept a counter argument that Jerry's house is messy because he's fucking a maid. It's dumb.
I guess I don't.
It's just dumb.
I don't see those writers as dumb. I see them as like postmodern and trying to like play with like the tropes created by the show.
No, they're dumb. And George is
And by the way,
screaming.
By the way,
He's just yelling. I'm like, why
by
is
the way,
he yelling?
East Village, as I've told you many times, that whole exchange about him being in East Village is how he doesn't remember because he got hit by a air condition.
Okay, no. That's
Lex,
just
do you
dumb.
think it's dumb?
It's very dumb. It's ooh, as in ooh, and George is like acting like he's like, why would he be acting like this all of a sudden? It doesn't make sense.
Maybe it's dumb, but it has great moments.
It has great moments.
It still makes me laugh.
Yes.
I don't know. I mean,
there's funny things,
to
but
me,
it's dumb.
it's like
you're dumb.
Jerry being the mailman, and that whole experience, and then like Newman ripping it off, and him going, "Yeah, that's your jacket."
Yeah, it's totally dumb.
I don't know.
It's totally dumb. Like, why does Newman even care about the jacket? It was in his closet. It's been in his closet for 10 years. He could just
but
resew
you
it.
have to admit, it's not like the other seasons are so perfectly consistent. There's a lot of shtick and like things that don't make sense in the earlier seasons.
There's some, a little, but anyways, yeah. Season 8 and 9, and I still love them too, but they're dumb. They're for dumb people.
Yeah,
in fact, here's how you can do the math. The show all of a sudden had 90 million viewers,
Right.
because It became dumb. When it was nuanced and about neurosis and whatever,
Right.
it wasn't a huge hit.
Fine. Well,
it was small.
I'll admit dumb, but you give me this. When you watch below fourth season, I'll never go below fourth season. It's like masterpiece theater. They're like on a couch for 12 hours.
Season 3 has amazing
It doesn't.
stuff. Season 1 stinks.
It just gets so fucking like they don't. I'm just not used to the cuts that take forever. Like, you know what I mean? Obviously, in the 8s and 9s, every scene is like 12 seconds long.
It's too fast.
And I think 4 through 7 has the perfect length, you know?
Of course, 4 through 7 is the best.
But when you get
best thing ever
below
made.
4, it's just like you're like watching Waiting for Godot. They're just on the couch for like the whole episode.
But season 3 has amazing, amazing moments. I mean, Elaine's dad is one of the best characters ever.
Richard Yates, based on the great novelist.
It's not Richard Yates.
It's based on Richard Yates,
Oh, okay.
the novelist. Larry dated. You know Richard Yates who wrote
Larry
Revolution?
David.
Larry David. What did I say?
Larry dated.
No, I would.
It's a bit.
Funny guy. You can't not be funny.
Very funny.
Larry David dated. You know Richard Yates. He wrote Revolutionary Road. They turned it into a movie.
Yes,
video.
I've heard this exact speech. I hope it was on the podcast, so everyone's just commenting. You said this before.
Larry
you
David
fucking asshole.
dated.
Dated.
Larry
dated David.
David dated Richard Yates' daughter, and he met Richard Yates, and Richard Yates terrified him, and so they like that whole thing is that, you know.
Yeah, that's a great episode. We'll tell him we're frightened and we have to leave. One of the all-time lines.
My girlfriend did this thing where she's like, "I've told you that story."
Careful.
She's like, "I've told you that story about," and then I'll say yeah, and then she'll just start continuing to tell me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, did you hear when I said yeah to you? Said you told me.
Right. I have a thing where Sarah, we're driving and there'll be something funny passing. I'm like, look at this car. Look. And then she just doesn't look. And then like a minute passes. She's like, what is it? And I'm like, it's gone. It's fucking gone. Same with the TV. I'm like watching a game and I'm like, look at this lady. There's a fat lady picking her nose. And she's like,
I know. She's.
huh? And I'm like, it was fucking 9 images ago.
I know. My girlfriend, not to have this Joe and Raanan talk shit about their wives and girlfriends. But,
Yeah, let's do it.
She does this thing where she's like, we're watching Sopranos or something, and she's like, gets confused. And I'm like, maybe you would have been confused if you weren't looking at your phone the entire time.
But you do that too, all the time.
Yeah, but I can.
You admit it.
I can do both. Not when I watch something.
No, you do. You do it when you watch something. I've watched something with you.
That was just Schindler's List.
No, you've done it before, and you admit it. You talk about it. You've said on this podcast, you're like, I have to go to the movies because otherwise I'm looking at my phone.
No, I've gotten better. Not like
okay.
her. She's like, you know, if this is Sopranos I've seen, I know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's hard not to. Anyways, I saw Vertigo last night. Went to Hitchcocktober. We go every year, me and Ari and his lady, boy, person, and Sarah. And we do a double date. Went to the Yellow Rose Tex-Mex. It's like
Sounds great.
high-end.
Double date with Hitchcock? That's what you do?
Yeah, every
Get me
year.
next year.
No, I don't think so. But Yellow Rose, I just want to say this real quick. Have you ever heard of Yellow Rose?
I don't know.
You know
Yellow
it?
Rose.
It's like Tex-Mex. $190 meal. The four of us, I bought. You know, I'm a hero. They bought the
bought?
movie tickets. That's right.
How much
And
were movie tickets?
with
I
the
feel like you
tip.
got screwed.
Well, I just care about people. I like to spread it around a little.
But sure, isn't Ari doing really well? Are you all the same?
I'm doing well too, but he's bought more. He buys a lot. He's
It's like
very
when I buy
generous.
your coffee every once in a while.
Yeah, very, very rarely. Anyways, we got $190 for Tex-Mex. You get 2 chicken tacos, no beans, no rice, no nothing. I hate these like high-end, trendy bullshit.
I know that's the same shit, and you're just spending a lot of money.
I go to Magnolia Cafe in Austin when I'm there. I go 3 days in a row. You get rice and beans and 3 enchiladas for half the price.
Tex-Mex. It's a fusion of Mexican food. And
You
then,
can pull this off. I think you can get it.
And then the Mexican food that's also in Texas.
Yeah, it's a Texas's.
But Texas is also Mexican food.
Yeah, but it's Texas's tilt on it.
It's a tilt.
And you can't really. It's hard to get it elsewhere.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's different than Mexican food.
Of course.
Okay.
It's Tex-Mex.
Tex-Mex. Okay.
Yeah.
But so you saw Vertigo.
Saw Vertigo, and I love Vertigo. First of all, I love going to a theater. Village East, the main cinema at Village East is
God, I wish
ornate.
I would have seen it.
Yeah. Well, you blew it. Sam Rubinoff went to the Late Show. We saw him.
Oh, wow.
Hey, Sam. He's never seen Vertigo.
So we talked about it. It sounds like you had a very similar situation when I had a bunch of buddies go watch a screening in Nashville with me, and they all fell asleep after like 10 minutes.
Well, it's hard because I've seen the movie many times,
Yeah.
of course, and so it's exciting to see it on the big screen, but you're seeing it in a packed theater. I think many people haven't seen the film, and it is a beautiful, first of all, it's so beautifully shot.
gorgeous.
I love San Francisco, one of the crown jewels of the United States, and I was just there like 3 weeks ago, so it's fun to see it.
I would say that movie showcases a city better than any other movie. Don't you think?
That's a bold statement.
Well,
Manhattan.
Manhattan's pretty good.
Manhattan is pretty amazing. I mean, the whole opening, Midnight in Paris. As far as showcasing, both those movies have long intros that are just the city.
I guess with San Francisco, it's not as famous, so like they just do all these landmarks you don't know, and it's just so the whole plot surrounds so many like famous landmarks.
Yeah, that's great. It's great to see San Francisco on the big screen. Gorgeous. Like that. That color is beautiful. The lighting is spectacular. And Kim Novak is hot, and I love Jimmy Stewart. But the movie it's considered like Hitchcock's best movie by many. And I think British Empire magazine or something made it the #1 movie of all time.
Sight and Sound, It was like #1, now it's like #2 or 3,
But that's stupid. It's a good movie. It's fun, and I do love it. But when you watch on the big screen with people, and maybe it's just the times have changed, it's quite boring.
Okay, well,
there's not a lot of thrills or scares.
Yes.
And the big twist happens with about 40 minutes left in the movie.
Yes. So I got a bunch of things to say.
Please.
All right. When you go with a group, there's a demand for attention that some of the more arty films, it suffers. There's almost some movies where you kind of have to see alone or it's just another pretentious person. You know what I mean? When you're with a group, you're like, you almost need this like movie that's completely entertaining at every moment. Otherwise, do you see what I'm saying?
Not really.
Because you're worried, like, is Ari going to get this?
I don't care about Ari. I'm saying I can feel the energy of the room. That's what I'm saying.
There's a pressure.
But I'm not talking about just my friend. I'm talking about everyone else watching the movie in the packed theater.
Right, which you wouldn't have if you watched alone. You know what I mean?
No, but even watching alone, I am like, boy, this is a long time without a thrill or a chill or a laugh.
Well, what is slow about the movie, and it doesn't start slow. What is slow about the movie is that about 15 minutes into the movie, it basically becomes a silent film where he watches her and follows her
for a very long time.
But there's a lot in that. It's just like not exactly, it's a different kind of thing, but you are watching, like, to me, and the reason I think people love the movie is because it is kind of like a metaphor for movies in general, where he's watching someone who knows they're being watched. And a movie is a movie that like people are watching where the movie pretends it's not being watched, but it is, it is aware. And so you have this perfect metaphor where and also perfect metaphor like so many relationships where he's like watching her the whole time and he's having this kind of projection about her, and she is that actress or the woman, Kim Novak, the character. She is actually aware that he's watching her,
of course,
and so it becomes this like I don't know. And so when you see those silent scenes, they are slow. They are definitely slow.
They're definitely slow.
And I would say because Hitchcock always famously said like silent films kind of we kind of lost a lot when we went to sound because things became talky instead of like just purely told through visuals, which is pure cinema. And I would say Vertigo, which begins as kind of like just a traditional movie, then kind of goes back to like the silent film kind of experience for like 20 minutes.
Well, the score is incredible.
The score is incredible.
Of course, which if you took it out of it, the movie would just be dog shit.
I don't know about dog shit. I mean, it is an amazing movie.
Dog shit, obviously, I'm using hyperbole here. But the soundtrack does so much.
I will say it is an artsy movie. It is not Psycho. It is, to me, it's kind of like Hank Williams famously when he had, what's his famous song? I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry. He put it on the B-sides because he was afraid people would call him like a pretentious queer, you know what I mean? Because, country singer. To me, this is his I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry. This is like not really even a suspense movie. It's kind of an art house movie with a plot that's actually doesn't make any sense.
Well, the biggest flaw in the movie, of course, that's been pointed out by others, is that after he has this breakdown and he sees Kim Novak, he's not like, hey. Like he's like, what's going on here? And he's like, put on this outfit. Hold these flowers. And then he's like, put the hair up in a clip. I got you. Like, I feel like also the other problem with the movie from the script point is they fell in love, but they didn't really fall in love.
No, it's not love. I mean, it's...
What are you talking about? That's the whole point.
It's obsessive. It's obsession.
But she says she fell in love with him, and he fell in love with her.
Well...
That's certainly what they say. They make out, they kiss.
What's interesting is they both fell in love with a pretense. So she fell in love with him, like, not admitting he's a, like, private eye, him pretending to be this, you know what I mean? And he fell in love with the character she's playing for the
Right.
So they both fell in love. I mean, it's kind of like a lot of relationships. You fell in love with the false projection as opposed to the real person.
Yeah,
you
you're
know?
not really in love.
Yeah.
Like you.
But so that's it. It's like kind of this obsessive love based on like inauthenticity. You know what I mean? Which is movies.
Well,
movies is a love of something that's not
So
real.
you think it's meant to be that way?
Yeah.
They're not really in love, but they say they fall in love.
No, I mean, it's not love. I mean, it depends on what you call love. Some people see love as like this obsessive, almost fantasy of someone, which is like, that is what they're upset. That is the love in that movie.
Right.
But then real love, like outside of the ego, is like a love of someone you actually care for. You're not just dressing up in certain ways and having them be like your obsession. You know what I mean?
Right.
But there is like these feelings, but they're both. No one's at it. It's like watching it. It's a metaphor for movies, but it's also a metaphor for men and women and how like basically both of them are acting. You know what I mean? At all times.
Well, there's a lot of that too. And then obviously he has this other lady that cares so much about him that he's just ignoring.
Which, by the way, I will say Hitchcock's always called a sexist, and I get it. He said, but like he gives a lot of sympathy for that not as hot woman character.
Well, that's the most moving.
Yes.
She's very hot. The most moving scene in the movie is when she paints the joke and he doesn't.
So tragic. And
it's
I'm
really
like,
horrible and sad. I actually like cringe and she paints over the fucking
But that
thing.
is the most sympathy I've ever seen Hitchcock give like a woman in a movie. Like I'm like I feel for her in a way you don't feel for any other like female character, you know?
Well, the second half of the movie was getting huge laughs when he's like, just change your hair color. Surely it doesn't matter. And like, it was getting these big laughs because Jimmy Stewart is like, so doesn't give a fuck about her and he's just manipulating her.
Yes.
But my thing was like, well, how come no one was laughing when he was getting manipulated the whole fucking first half of the film? But going back to my point, it is one of the biggest, jumps of, what do you call that? Where you have to...
suspension of disbelief.
Suspension of disbeliefs ever is that he's not immediately like, oh, hey, you're that woman.
Like if you change your hair to blue and I'd be like...
Yes, exactly.
Like, you remind me of a friend of mine.
Yeah. Will you put on a hoodie and talk about Seinfeld for a few minutes?
And then I still don't know it, but then I see like an old like comedy badge on your drawer and I'm like, I knew it.
It's so crazy how they're literally dating. He's dating a woman he was dating 3 days ago, but your hair is brown.
I
and
think
he's
she
like,
had her
I don't
eyebrows
know.
different too, though.
Slightly.
Yeah, it's a bit of a Superman without the glasses kind of situation. I mean, the plot itself is ridiculous. It's also ridiculous that someone would go to those extremes to like murder. Like he's literally creating this whole. He's the most creative.
That part I like.
But he's the most creative murderer of all time, to the point where like you should just write a novel. He literally creates.
Well, also by the way, in 1958, when in 1958 you could just shoot someone and throw them in a fucking river, and they'd be like, "Oh, we're
kill
stumped."
her. Just say she's hysteric. Put her in a fucking insane asylum. He literally invents this whole ghost story to trick his friend to go on for weeks just for her to fall off a building. Like. It's the most unnecessary, elaborate.
But it's fun, and it is, again, Hitchcock at the heart of all Hitchcock, or so many Hitchcock films, is the perfect murder. He's obsessed with the perfect murder, which is fun, and the reveal. But the reveal comes so early.
Well, Hitchcock talks about that, which is interesting. He said, Hitchcock says, it's actually in the book. It was actually the reveal came later, but he decided, it said the difference between surprise and suspense. If we actually reveal it, you create the suspense of what is Jimmy Stewart going to do, is Jimmy Stewart going to find out what's going to happen? Because it actually gets revealed before Jimmy even knows it's her, right? It's like...
Yes.
So like he thought that created suspense as opposed to surprise. Surprise is just a twist. Boom. Right. He thought it created suspense, not knowing what Jimmy Stewart... The audience going, oh, I wonder what's going to happen with Jimmy Stewart. I wonder how he's going to react. Is he going to find out? You know what I mean? So there's some suspense there. Apparently it got drowned out by laughter in the movie theater.
Well, I enjoy Vertigo. I do. I don't think it's nearly as good or fun as Rear Window or Psycho. And
I mean, those are his three best, by far.
Those three movies.
Yeah.
Yes.
Those are,
but I also love... The first half of Dial M for Murder is amazing.
First half is great, and
the second half stinks. But Stranger on the Train, I really like.
Stranger on the Train is so stupid.
It's stupid, but it's fun, and it's earlier.
Right. My big problem with Stranger on the Train, maybe we've talked about this. He's like, he goes up to her. He's like, you'll murder my mom or whatever, my dad. I'll murder your girlfriend. There'll be no connection. And if I was him, I'd be like, what about the connection of this conversation?
Right.
What about the connection
Right.
of this conversation where many people witnessed us go into another room?
Right. I read that book.
What book?
Stranger on the Train.
Oh, that's a book? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All those movies are books, right?
I think so. Hawkins is her name, something like that. Sally Hawkins.
That's not right. But yeah, Vertigo's still great. It's still powerful. I don't know. And
It's fun. No, it's fun.
Yeah.
But it is like, yeah, it's a little
But the colors are incredible. Like, if you look at the color pattern, like
amazing.
when that first scene of him watching her in that beautifully red silk, like that red
Restaurant.
Ernie's. And her in the green dress, and how it, like, the way he uses green and red and green to signal her the whole time.
The green neon light outside. No, it's amazing. It's so beautiful, and they created that shot, of course, which they did with a model.
Yeah.
It's fun.
I noticed too, like, in terms of colors, when he sees Midge, which is a perfect name for someone aren't interested in, or someone you're Midge. When he sees Midge, at one point she's like, the whole time Kim, what's her name?
Kim Novak.
She's always in green. It's always a green or a red, and then which are such bright colors. And then there's a point where you see Midge, and she's standing against the window of her apartment, and she's wearing white, and the skyline is all white, so she's just blurring into the white. It's like the exact opposite use of color to show her just kind of blur into the background.
Now, at one point, he talks about they were engaged for a while, and he's like, college days.
Yeah.
Are we to believe these two characters are the same age? Or was he in college and she was in elementary school?
Now, the thing, Hitchcock, the reason the movie flopped, and Hitchcock felt like it was because Jimmy Stewart was too old.
Right.
Because he's like 85 in the movie.
Yeah, he is quite old in it. And also, one of the most ridiculous things is in Rear Window, where he just refuses to be with Grace Kelly.
I mean,
he's like,
insane.
get out of here,
Get out of
you
here.
slut, you're
She's
too
like the most
young.
beautiful woman. She's like, can I sleep the night?
Literally,
I gotta have boundaries.
Literally, the single
You
hottest
watch
woman
that
of all
now,
time.
and you're like, he's 100% gay.
Yes, yeah.
Anyone who's telling Grace Kelly, like, don't sleep over, I don't want you to get the wrong idea. If that happened to anyone else, I'd be like, you are a homosexual.
No, he should have been like, suck me off, you young fucking.
Like, if you
hot
told me
piece
that,
of
like,
ass.
Margot Robbie was begging to stay the night, and you let's say you're single, and you were like, I don't
If I
want.
wasn't single,
Even if you wasn't, it wouldn't
Yeah.
matter. Yeah, that's understood, right? If Margot Robbie, but anyway.
of course.
But, like,
Margot Robbie. There's like 4 comics I've worked with that I'm fine with.
but like, if you told me she was like, can I spend the night? And I was like, she's just annoying. I'd be like, you're gay.
Yeah.
And then I beat you.
I'd be like, it's okay. I know it's 1954, but it's okay to be gay. Anyways, it's a fun film, and I highly recommend Hitchcocktober.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to go next year. Not with us, but on your own, different section.
I watched an interview with Hitchcock. He is so funny, and he says so many extremely offensive things, but
Yeah.
he's so funny. And he goes, one time someone asked, I don't know what accent I'm doing, but like,
I think he's British, if I'm not mistaken.
someone once asked me, can a nude shot go on too long? And I said, well, yes, because eventually all breasts sag.
That's brilliant. Well, British people in general are just smart and
I
funny.
know. He's so smart and
They're
clever.
clever. He only showed tit in one movie, Frenzy.
Really? I didn't know he showed tit in anything. There's tit in Frenzy?
Yeah, Frenzy's
I'm having a
great.
frenzy right now. I got to watch it.
That came out in like 78. You forget he was working in the
I
late
know.
70s. That movie's very good.
Him and Orson Welles are very confusing because they're both like, I want to work with Dustin Hoffman, but also I remember when Charlie Chaplin was a kid. It's
Right.
like very complicated, you know?
Yeah.
Like there's a book about Orson Welles which Lunches with Orson, one of the greatest books ever, just interviews with him in the 80s. And the breadth of like the amount of generations he talks shit about.
Breath
like,
with a D.
Yeah. He literally, at one point, he's like, the other guy's like, you want to have Dustin Hoffman in your movie? And he's like, no midgets. He's really funny, by the way, Orson Welles. But then at another point, he's like, you really had to see W.C. Fields live. And I'm like,
That's funny.
How old is this man?
Well, I talk about this all the time. It's one of my big talking points. Is the first couple of Marx Brothers movies were like theater adaptations.
Right.
Like people were going to see like Coconuts live.
Yeah, I know, it's insane.
Like, can you imagine how hard those guys must have been murdering I can't even imagine.
In Broadway theaters where people laugh at just someone being like, excuse me, and everyone dies laughing.
I mean, it must have been blowing the fucking roof off the place.
It's insane, yeah.
Yeah, I saw Groucho, Chico, and Harpo live.
And also, like, especially then, where like a lot of laughter is released from like repression, and we're not that repressed now. Imagine the repression then,
Right.
And then seeing them do all this. Like, imagine how much people wanted to cut loose and laugh. Their heads must have exploded.
I just say, yeah. Outside of a dog, a book is a man's best friend. Inside of a dog is too dark to read. Everyone,
well, that's
Clip
the
it.
thing. The joke I never like. You know, take my wife, right? That joke. Are you familiar?
yes. I've heard of it.
Well, that joke does seem like it was funny the first time, but the first time it's done, they never show the actual line before it. I assume the joke is like, yeah, women.
Wait,
women
we had this exact dialogue on the podcast.
Fuck. People tell us to do the podcast again. We're just repeating shit.
I know. Jesus, we did this.
I want to tell you about my sleeping pill. That was a funny concept.
All right, do the sleeping pill.
This last
We're
morning,
halfway through, by the way. Thank God.
This is a good episode.
It's killer. Are you kidding? I mean, the Jew stuff, we're going to be in trouble, but
So I yesterday I was I'm very stressed out because of my special taping this Monday. Press pause, get tickets now. ComedyCellar.com.
they can get tickets while they listen,
No, yeah, okay. You can,
especially during this part. Now's the time.
so Monday at 10 p.m. But
Now's the time, Charlie. What movie? Mean Streets.
oh yeah. I mean, I don't remember that, but
That's a fucking amazing movie.
but so so I'm very stressed out. And that morning I was going to take my Wellbutrin, one of my 40 medications I take. I don't know. Isn't it crazy that I'm like this medicated?
It's a little crazy.
Like, but anyway, I accidentally took my sleeping pill that I take at night.
I can't imagine what you'd be like without the pills.
I think I'd just be like, I'd just be under my bed the whole
We
time.
wouldn't be friends.
No, I wouldn't have friends.
Yeah.
Think about how
Barely
annoying
clinging
I
on
am.
now. Yeah. All right, so what, you took a pill.
Like at 9 in the morning. It was such an annoying. It's like the worst feeling ever to like wake up in the morning, beautiful day. I'm like, all right, ready to start my day. I got good sleep. I take my pill and I look and I'm like, oh, it's my sleeping pill.
Now, how do you make that mistake?
Well, I thought I had a UTI last week, which I think was anxiety because of my special.
Oh.
So I went to my dick gets like anxiety. It's crazy. Like my dick
Yeah, I hear you.
burns, stings. It hurts when I pee. You know.
Mine too, all the time.
But I don't have herpes. There's no bumps.
Yeah.
But so I went to get a UTI. I went to get to urgent care. My girlfriend's like, it's probably not anxiety. I'm like, it's always anxiety. But so I go to urgent care, which I was afraid to go because last time I thought I had a UTI, I went to urgent care and they very casually put a finger up my asshole. Like I wasn't even ready for it. It was insane.
Yeah,
Prostate exam.
Yeah, that's your thing, though, isn't it?
Yeah, well, not when it's like an old man, not an old Jewish man doing it.
Right.
But so
Well, soon they'll all be gone. Nobody will care.
So I got antibiotics, and I guess I had to take them in the morning, and I also take them at night. So my reflex was to take that and what I took at night, and then it's just awful. I go on a stroll with you, beautiful day. We're about to get coffee, and I'm like, I'm going to be asleep in an hour.
Yeah.
It's like in The Vanishing where he takes the drink. I'm like, this is all gonna.
But to be fair, though, and we talk about this often, you're always tired. So this narrative that you woke up and it was a beautiful day and you couldn't wait to sink your teeth into the day. Every other day, you don't take a sleeping pill. We meet up and you go, oh, I'm so tired.
I'm not always tired. Sometimes I'm on drugs.
No, you are always tired. So, it's just more tired. But you made it through the day. You got
Well,
through.
you know what? You told me to embrace the fatigue because I was fighting
Right.
it. I was fighting it, and then I'm like, whatever. It's a party. I'm high. I got in my bed, watched a projector, watched some of Collateral, great movie, and fell asleep.
Really comes apart the second half.
You think
the last
so?
third. Yeah.
Just the coincidence of Jada Pinkett Smith being.
Yes. It's crazy. The last third of that movie is fucking nutty pie. It's like Seinfeld.
So for me, the movie, the movie is like the themes are kind of interesting, but the plot itself is ridiculous from the beginning.
That movie is a movie I literally turn off. I watch
Really?
for a while, and then it gets to the end. I'm like, that's okay.
I legitimately think it's Tom Cruise's best performance outside of Magnolia.
That I think is incorrect.
Well,
but
then I got another one for it. I think he's only had 2 good performances, Magnolia and Collateral.
no, he's fucking awesome in Rain Man. You may not like Rain Man. I understand you don't like it. You think it sucks. His performance is fucking phenomenal.
I don't like it. What can I tell you?
you can't tell me anything. You can tell me that you don't like it, but he's great. I mean, that doesn't mean he's great. You don't like the film. His performance is pitch fucking perfect.
As Pauline Kael says, you always know he's acting.
Stop it. You just, if she says something, that's your opinion from now on.
I'm afraid to look at her views on Israel.
Paquinos.
It is Seinfeld.
Yeah. Wait, but you can't ask about abortion.
Oh, right.
I assume
Great
he's
episode.
pro-choice. He's just so good looking. By the way, I mean, I don't want to keep talking Yeah, I should
hard though
keep
because
my mind
the
set.
only thing I'm passionate about right now is Israel. We're talking about Vertigo. I'm like, all right, whatever. But in my head, I'm just thinking like about Israel. It's tough. It's overwhelming.
It's overwhelming. Well, yeah, you're like a bunch of people are quite openly want you gone. I'm
friends.
one of them, but I mean, like, there's 15 million Jews.
No, I mean there was a tweet,
Yes.
and also the other thing, but there's 6 million in Israel. Did you know that?
Oh no.
Which feels like Israel's taunting every anti-Semites. Another 6 million of us. Come on. But it has been so upsetting to see like Mia Khalifa, right? That porn star.
I don't know who that is. but-
Really?
No.
She was a porn star who actually did get in trouble, but what she tweeted is worse than any right-wing person has tweeted in a long time. She said, "Can you tell the freedom fighters to put their phones horizontally so I can see the carnage better in 4D when Hamas had the massacre?"
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
That is unbelievable. And she is like, someone dropped her, but she's still like tweeting, has 5 million tweets. And I'm like, that's worse than anything fucking like Trump has said. Like, that's like worse than anything like,
Oh, no,
that's like
there's-
insane.
There's so much stuff coming from the left that it is worse than anything Trump ever said. Like,
Yeah.
listen to the new Barry Weiss episode. There's like professors that are like, it was exhilarating. I'm electrified. I'm not joking.
No, I'm saying, no, it's,
Yes,
it's
he's like, this was exhilarating.
the left, just as long as they can figure out a way to feel like it's morally superior, all their cruelty that they already have and whatever anti-Semitism just fucking comes out. But to say like put the camera horizontal to see the murder of like children
And rape.
and like not beheaded babies. The babies weren't beheaded. They were just stomped on. Get it right,
Yeah,
Israel.
but I'm hearing reports that they were also beheaded as well.
Yeah, I mean, either way, if you're like saying they weren't beheaded, is that really the hill you want to die on? Like,
No, well, there was one person that posted a fucking video that they were like, "There's no evidence that 250 people were killed at this concert. Here's the only evidence," and it's literally 1,000 kids running and screaming for their lives while people are shooting at them. And you're like, well, "This is the only evidence." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, thank God."
you know,
then.
you showed me that video. I don't want to say the person's name. She was actually a friend, and I'm like,
Why are you doing the gender? Come on.
oh,
We're keeping it anonymous.
okay.
here.
Well, it's still anonymous.
I guess, but you just cut it in half, as they did to the babies.
But like they had a video that was like, I get it was just Holocaust denialism tactics. It was just saying these things aren't true, which is what the Holocaust was. The Nazis were like, no, the Jews are just, they're just at camp.
Yeah.
It's birthright. Like it's like, but it's like insane. And by the way, I fucking reported that video.
Oh, good for you.
And then the next day, I saw the person complaining, saying, "Oh, Instagram shut out my video, trying to tell the truth." And then someone in the comments commented, "What a big surprise! Instagram would do that. Who is their owner? Zuckerberg. Big surprise where he stands." And I'm like, that is anti-Semitism. Do you understand how you're just moving your way towards the Jewish media? I don't think criticism of Israel means anti-Semitism, but it can be a gateway. It can be a gateway drug to anti-Semitism.
No, it's insane, and it reminds me, like Barry Weiss has another thing she keeps saying is like, it's revealing who the people are. Who,
Yes.
like when Jews were put on trains, would have been like, well, they did undercut the economy
Right.
of Germany. Like they fucked up the economy quite a bit here.
By the way, isn't it interesting, like Jews have always been persecuted. A lot of other groups have been persecuted, but like, to be fair, like, and I hate Islamophobia, but like, there are terrorism that makes someone like sometimes afraid, even though I do not think that represents most Palestinians at all or most Arabs. But the Jews never had that. People just hated the Jews for them just being annoying. We never like attacked back.
Yeah.
We like,
Well, you are annoying.
but our annoying level is apparently the equivalent of like Arab terrorists giving Arabs a bad name. You know what I mean?
Right.
But we don't have that version. I mean, I guess now with Israel we do a little, but
back to movies. Speaking of Jews, does Stanley Kubrick suck, Raanan?
I know this is the
You hate Kubrick. Just come out. We need the algo.
I don't hate Kubrick. I've been going on a Kubrick train.
Is this okay that we put that all in there? Is this all right? We're taking sides. That's fine. What
I'm
are we
not
going to
taking
do?
sides. I'm against, like,
Terrorism?
I'm against
terrorist attack,
but I'm also
flying into a
against
country
I'm
and
against
stabbing
the
and killing
occupation.
people.
I'm against the occupation. I just think it's complicated.
Yeah.
Can you say it's complicated? You can't even say that now. People are like, you're like, well, it's complicated. And the people are like, you're just saying that to allow the Israel persecution of Arabs to go on. I'm like, maybe it is just complicated.
I actually find it not that complicated.
I think it's complicated. I think Israel's an
It's
impossible.
very complicated.
Very complicated.
It's very complicated. Do you march in favor of terrorists the day after a horrible terrorist attack? Little complicated. Do you call terrorists freedom fighters? I don't know. It's a little confusing. Maybe the next morning's not the time for the rally. I don't know.
Well, I bet.
Anyways, you hate Stanley Kubrick. You think he's a piece of shit fraud.
Yeah, well, no, I don't hate him, but I finally watched Barry Lyndon. Everyone's like, you got to watch Barry Lyndon. It's 4 hours. It's really long. The main character isn't interesting. You got to watch it. But because Kubrick is, by the way, Kubrick is the ultimate director where when you ever say a criticism, the other person goes, "That's the point." No matter what you say, you're like, it was boring. That's the point.
Yes, it reminds me of an episode of our podcast.
It didn't make me feel anything. That's the point. I didn't have any suspense or emotion. That's the point.
I get this all the time.
Oh, you're talking about Louis?
No, what are you doing?
Oh,
Why
I'm
do you
sorry.
do that always?
What?
No, I'm not talking about Louis. I'm going to tell a story.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You always do that.
Tell a story.
I'll allude to something, and you're like, "Oh, Ben Williams." I'm like, "What are you doing?"
I'm sorry. We'll cut it out.
Unbelievable. Anyways, I have this all the time with my Sopranos thing, where I'm like the fucking Stevie Van Zandt, who is not an actor, and it's literally going like, and I've had 5,000 people be like, "That's the point, man." I'm like, the point is that they got bad acting?
Except what I always say to you with Sopranos is, sure, I'll give you Steve Van Zandt. He is not the main character. The main character is an actor giving one of the greatest performances of all time.
I'm just using it as an example of how many people go, "You're missing the point." Oh, so just you're impervious to any criticism because you can just say, well, that's the point. You don't get it. They wanted to have an amateur actor, brilliant guitar player, best band ever. They just wanted to have a shitty actor giving a shitty performance because you don't get it.
I accept it. Can you at least just admit that James Gandolfini and Anita Falco are flawless?
Yes, I've said this many times.
Okay,
They're fantastic. They're great. They're great. But there's other examples. That's just one example that came to mind. And I've had this too where people think you don't understand movies, where I'm like, that character was just fucking annoying. And they're like, well, that's the point. He's an annoying guy. I'm like, I'm not saying
he's annoying.
I'm saying
annoyed
it's
by
ruining
the writing.
the movie.
Yeah, I'm annoyed by the writing.
Exactly. You understand everything.
Yeah, I'm annoyed by the writing. I'm not a civilian. Civilians are always like, or people don't talk about movies. They're like, I didn't like my mom. I didn't like him. He was so mean. And I'm like, no. You're talking about the character. That's dumb as shit, right?
Yeah, Barzini, he was kind of just tricky. He shouldn't have been tricking them. I don't like him.
Yeah, I hate you always get confused when people talk like I hated that. And like the writing. No, he's just he killed people. He was really out of line. It's like, but yeah, obviously you're not that. You're obviously being annoyed. Yeah, of course. Like there's a certain thing that's like about the character that's like not believable or like forced or bad acting. You know what I mean? But so is Kubrick. To me, you gotta agree, he's the master of that thing. That's the point. He says that's the point director. You're not doing that with Spielberg. You see this great Spielberg movie, you're like, I'm entertained. You're not like, but with Kubrick, you're like 2001 is really boring for 4 of its hours, and then there's 20 minutes that are kind of exciting with the robot, and you're like, that's the point. Everyone's bored in the future. And you're like
another great example that we've talked about, and we got so much shit for when we talked about Kubrick before, is in Eyes Wide Shut when the group of thugs are like, hey, you homo, hey. He's like, hey, what's he say? He's like,
say? Hey, you look like you work for the pink team, huh?
Yeah, you play for the pink team.
Also, it's hilarious because
they're like, that's the point. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Tom Cruise looks awesome there. Like anyone would he's in like an overcoat. He looks like a real man. And then these 18-year-olds are like, look at this sissy. It doesn't make any sense.
He's like, you taking up the poop shoot. I gotta watch it again. It's so bad. I used to watch it over and over again.
It's the worst scene Kubrick has ever done.
Absolutely.
Because first of all, those guys are like like holding hands on the street, and then they like knock him over.
It doesn't
and
make
it's like,
any
how
sense.
is he gay? They're literally like holding hands, like walking side by side, being
It doesn't make any sense.
It's so many of them. It's like 12 of them, and they're all speaking in unison, like the Munchkins or something. It's insane.
But I think Kubrick.
That's the point, though. It's supposed to be bad.
I think Kubrick is brilliant and beautiful and a master and so influential. I just watched It Follows, which we should talk about in a later episode. I think it's a masterpiece.
Let's talk
and
about
it's so Kubrickian.
Yeah.
And it's spectacular. Kubrick reminds me a little bit of Prince, the musician, in that everybody, first of all, the early Kubrick, The Killing and all that stuff is, to me, is my favorite.
He's very...
And Dr. Strangelove is my favorite.
Conventional kind of film.
Yeah. But it's similar to Prince in that he must be a genius. Everybody says, all the geniuses say he's a genius and he's the greatest genius. I just never, I have a harder time connecting with Prince than I do, you know, say Mark Knopfler.
Right.
To me, Knopfler is Scorsese and Prince is Kubrick.
I don't know much about Prince, but I never, like, to me, Bowie, I get, is a genius. And then people are like, Prince is like Mozart, and then it's all like party music. I don't get it.
I started listening to the first couple albums. I know it's like 2000
You're
but I'm like,
he is the new Mozart. It's just like, party down here.
And he's like, diamonds and pearls.
I'm like, that really?
But
but everyone says the Beatles, and then you listen to the Beatles, and it's just fucking animal songs. So I don't know. It's like, oh, the yellow submarine, and the octopus goes blue, and the raccoon.
we did this too already. We're in reruns.
This is like
This is
Seinfeld.
our great return. We're just repeating.
Can I get a haircut? You ever feel like you get a haircut?
I mean, we're gonna get canceled, shot, killed. We're losing friends. You're like naming
Oh, the
names.
submarine and the fishies go. Brilliant.
And he farts. But I was listening to the first couple Prince albums, and he plays every instrument on there, and he can wail. It bothers me that Prince doesn't play guitar more.
Yeah.
Like there's one song I forget. I think it's like the first track on this first album, or second, whatever. He like has like a ripping song. It's like,
Yeah.
And I'm like, could you throw in a solo again?
I guess also, like, for me, and I'm like a big singer-songwriter guy, I guess I want to feel like the musician I'm listening to is a human being.
Yes.
I can't really relate to Prince's problems. I don't really understand. He's not like you. He's like his own species.
He's like, put it down. Am I gay? Am I straight?
I'm like, just my life, you know? But no, give me like fucking a country singer being like, she left me this morning. You know what I mean? That I relate to. But he's just like, party like it's 2000. I'm like, what? What are we talking about?
How about Donald and Lydia, that John Prine song?
Yeah.
That's got one of the best verses of all time.
Making love from far away. What's the line?
It's a line, I'll have to look
But
it up.
that is
here.
the
I'll
line
get
I'm
back
talking
to you.
about, right?
No, it's not.
John
But-
Pride's like the greatest.
It's, hold on. Well, talk, would you? I'm looking something up
I mean,
here.
John Pride, that's like a human being. I'm like relating. I'm like, you know.
Here it is. Thank God. There were spaces between Donald and whatever he said. Strangers had forced him to live in his head. He envisioned the details of romantic scenes after midnight in the stillness of the barracks latrine.
Yeah, it's like Proust. And meanwhile,
It's like, well, come on.
Meanwhile,
Fuck Proust. Proust sucks. Who
Prince-
else Proust?
Prince is like.
Bruce Springsteen?
Prince is like just popping the champagne. And I'm like, yeah, that's like a fucking song.
I mean, he envisioned the details of romantic scenes after midnight in the stillness of the barracks latrine.
Oh, it's incredible. By the way, Dylan once said that. It's so funny. Dylan is kind of an intellectual, but he always talks mystically. But then they asked about John Prine once. He goes, that's just Proustian existentialism. John Prine is the best. Dylan, Townes Van Sant, Leonard Cohen, John Prine.
I don't understand why you don't Jackson. Where's Jackson Brown? Why aren't
He's
you
right
talking about
under.
Jackson Brown?
He's right
like,
under.
I feel like you underappreciate, and I feel like you actually haven't done a deep dive, and you're just carrying it off because you know he's good. So you're like, yeah, he's right there, but you haven't actually listened.
Yeah, he's one of those people where I have a lot of this bands. It's like every song I've ever heard from them is brilliant, but I've only heard like 10.
Yeah.
I feel like that about Radiohead. I love every
respect.
Radiohead song, but I don't.
You lack respect for Jackson Brown.
Oh, you know what? You're right. I'll go check him out more.
I'll put
I
together
love
a
him.
list
These
and send it
days,
to
you
you.
know, put me a list.
These days he wrote when he was 16 years old.
Really?
Yes.
That's crazy.
I'm telling you. He's very
He
good.
was 16?
Yes.
And
wait,
Joni Mitchell's great.
what was I just about to say? It was something about
Jackson
Prine.
Brown.
Oh, you know what
Prince.
Chris Christopherson said about Prine?
What?
He said he's so good of a songwriter, I think we have to break his thumbs.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, he was like, enough with this guy. We got to get rid of this guy.
Oh, wow. It's true.
Also, I just learned this. I didn't know. The song "You Never Even Call Me by My Name." You never even. What's that guy that says the N-word a bunch?
Oh,
David Allan Coe.
David Allan Coe, yeah.
Do you know John Prine co-wrote that song?
He didn't write the N-word in it.
He was no, the N-word's not in that song.
Okay.
He was like in a blackout drunk, so he refused to take credit.
Really?
But he co-wrote the song.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, which is one of the great songs of all time.
I love Chris Christopherson, but isn't his voice a little too ridiculous sometimes? It's just like
the depths of it.
it's just like Sunday morning. I'm just like, I don't know. It's a little too much, you know.
That's ridiculous. Great actor, great musician,
But
great
Kubrick.
writer.
Kubrick.
We've barely touched Kubrick.
Well,
we gotta wrap it up soon.
Well, let's just Kubrick.
You hate him.
I finally watched Barry Lyndon. Everyone talks about Barry Lyndon. No one ever talks about the story. They're just like the candlelight. He didn't use lighting. He just used natural candlelight. Like, you can tell me anything about the story?
He's not great with the story. Forget stories. No stories.
It's like Matt Rife. Everyone's like, no one says a joke he says. They're just like, he sells out. Well, why don't you tell me a joke of his, you know?
Forget stories. I gotta know what to wear. What are you doing? You're going hard. First of all, you're just it's all Zionist. You're naming you're shitting on comics.
I'm sorry.
What are we doing here? We're trying to have fun.
Oh, we're having fun. So
Rife is good.
Barry Lyndon, I watched.
Hey, Rife is good. That's like a Life is Good.
Oh, yeah,
that's pretty
Rife
good.
Is sweet, yeah. Barry Lyndon, I watched it. I was bored out of my mind. And then I read a bunch of reviews, and now I'm like, it's the greatest movie of all time.
You didn't understand.
I didn't fully get it, and then I read the reviews, and I rewatched it. I'm like, I'm still bored, but I do love it. That's the thing about Kubrick. I have a real love-hate relationship because I can watch any of his movies because I do love the precision, and I do love like the film work and the film, like the shots. But there's such a detachment.
They're so beautiful, but they're not fun.
They're not
rewatchable fun. 2001 is amazing and exciting and but not exciting. It's amazing and beautiful, but it's not fun. Well, the killing is fun.
Yes. Well, to me, I think you're similar. It's like we need to feel emotionally connected to like the main character, and Kubrick is kind of always like, I'm not into that.
Yeah. Here's the
That's
algo.
the point.
Here's the algorithm quote. Are you ready? Get ready.
Yeah.
It Follows and Field of Dreams are better than 2001: A Space Odyssey.
I don't sign off on that.
Field of Dreams is above. Bull Durham is better than 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Maybe Bull Durham.
Is. It is.
That's the sequence to me. I guess I'm a traditionalist. To me, like Sideways means more to me than like.
We got it in.
Like
we managed to squeeze it in.
Fucking Clockwork Orange. I don't know. It's just like
we almost didn't get in a Sideways reference, but we did it.
But I just don't get a lot of like for me like just to go quickly through Doctor Strangelove, amazing, hilarious,
amazing.
And I think one of the reasons it's so good is because it's such a broad comedy. He can be detached. He can be cold. It doesn't matter. It's hilarious. But his other movies are like funny in a weird way. But you're like, I want a little emotional connection to the characters. In The Shining, Jack Nicholson wants to kill his family right away. There's no like real, the suspense of The Shining should be someone you love trying to kill you.
I know. I wish they would he could come back to life and redo The Shining.
With like Gene Hackman.
Yes, exactly. With like a performance.
Give me Gene Hackman. You know what I mean?
Yeah. With Nicholson's just like, I don't know. It's going to be crazy this summer.
And then you watch,
winter.
I guess I watched it behind the scenes and saw him like acting. And now when I watch The Shining, every scene of his, I'm like, you can tell he's just going crazy. Like, it just feels like bad improv. He's like,
I agree.
And I'm like, I don't believe anyone who's scared of The Shining. You're not scared of Jack Nicholson.
You know who would have been perfect, the best? This is obvious. DDL.
He would have been
Daniel Day-Lewis.
He would have been terrifying. Yeah.
That would have been something because I just rewatched what's it called? Phantom Thread. That is a fucking
even
film.
that he's terrifying. He's kind of terrifying in every movie.
Exactly.
You're right. He would have been great. Hackman would have been great.
It's as if you've ridden a horse into the breakfast room.
But so like.
Hilarious movie.
Yeah, it is very funny. I don't get like Kubrick. Like I don't like. No one's scared of The Shining. You can't be scared of a beloved actor. Like I get you're scared of Freddy Krueger or Mike Myers. You can't be scared of like an actor you love just telling jokes.
Nightmare on Elm Street, another movie by the way. You wish this is like The Shining. There's so many horror movies. the idea of Nightmare on Elm Street is so fucking rich and good, but it's like cheesy effects and it's 80s.
Bad acting, yeah.
It's not great, but like you wish you could come back like this fucking entity that haunts your nightmares. So kids are like cutting their eyelids off so they don't fall asleep.
Great premise.
And he's like a pedophile who was burned. It's
way better
really,
than It. I know it was like a stealing from It, but it's just like way too abstract. But this is like, don't go to sleep. It's perfect. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's great.
But yeah, so I don't get Kubrick. Barry Lyndon has some stuff that I do think is powerful. You're like, once you wake up halfway through, there are like some really powerful stuff, and there are some really funny stuff. Like an example of his genius, just to say the opening scene of Barry Lyndon. So what he does is he has a camera do kind of pull out so far back that you see these characters caught as like little figurines in a giant landscape. Yeah. So the movie's telling a story while also showing you how ridiculous human beings are in all their problems, you know? So it's like an interesting. So the first shot is a brilliant shot. It's a shot of a duel, and the shot's from really far back. So a giant, you know, very wide shot of like, you see these trees, very far away, very long shot. And by having the duel like that, as opposed to like Scorsese would have the duel.
Right, you're telling me. I've seen it. Yeah, tell them.
By having the duel so far out, instead, like Scorsese would film it in the, you know, like Raging Bull, it'd be like in the duel, getting caught in it. It's the opposite. It's the opposite of Hitchcock. It's so far away, you actually see the how a duel just looks like complete suicide.
The absurdity.
Because you're just seeing two people raise a gun at each other and just fire. And it's a hilarious opening shot. You know, it's an amazing shot. So there's a lot of stuff about detachment that like kind of tells two stories in Barry Lyndon. So I do think Barry Lyndon is great. And I think Eyes Wide Shut has some really powerful stuff in it.
Yeah.
But it's also just fucking stupid as shit.
Oh, so that's dumb. It's
Eyes
not
Wide
dumb.
Shut.
It's absurd. It's surreal.
It is surreal, yeah. But I do like parts, and I do think there is, I am going to say this about Kubrick, even though I get annoyed by him, there is humanity in him.
He's brilliant. He's a genius. He's the best.
Do you know what
we hate him.
Do you know what I found like somewhat like a really interesting thing about the end of Eyes Wide Shut? And I didn't remember the movie. I watched it recently, and there was something really like kind of moving at the end, which is that you wonder if this is a conspiracy theory where like you wonder if that girl got killed, right? And you wonder if the piano player got killed.
Yeah.
And then he talks to Sidney Pollack, the greatest weaselly Jew rich actor of all time.
Oh, the Jews. We got to get rid of them.
And Sidney Pollack at the end, he goes, it wasn't a conspiracy. She OD'd. She was a whore. You knew this was going to happen. And you're watching, you go, oh, the issue isn't whether this conspiracy theory happened. It's the way Sidney Pollack is talking about her like she's not human. So that's the real thing. It's not the conspiracy theory shit. It's like, oh, he's like, you knew this was going to happen. You know, she's just a whore. This happened. She's a prostitute. You're like, oh, that's the real discovery, not the fucking conspiracy theory, but the dehumanization.
Right.
You know, so that is powerful. I think. You know.
Yeah, there's a lot of dehumanizing going on these days.
That's what we should have done from the beginning. I talk about movies and you just bring it to Israel for
I just
every
keep
comment.
bringing it back.
So, Field of Dreams. Yeah, Israel was once a Field of Dreams. Then a massacre happened.
Did we hit enough? Kubrick sucks? I thought you were talking about you hate Kubrick.
I still hate him.
Because you've said before he sucks, and that would really get us up the algo.
I hate Clockwork Orange. I fucking hate that movie.
It's not rewatchable.
Well, I mean, it is for the rape,
is
but
really
like,
off-putting. I go, no, I like it. You like it? What do we like? How do we feel about it?
Clockwork Orange. The problem with Clockwork Orange is the whole question is like, whoa, what about free will? That's important. But he's made a movie where society is so empty and everyone is so unlikable. You're like, who gives a shit about free will? The society has no point anyway.
That's how I feel right now, currently in our lives. But Clockwork Orange, it's just, there's no rewatchability to me, even though I keep trying. It's just so
I just don't get the
yucky.
point.
It makes you feel yucky.
Like,
I'd rather watch the news.
Like, who cares if like the free like, oh, so it's more important for a sociopath to have free will. First of all, sociopaths don't have free will anyway. You know, if you don't have compassion, no one has free will. The movie's like a dated concept, frankly.
But do you think it's weird? Like, I'm not into canceling and everything, but it is weird that every year you go out on Halloween, everyone's just dressed like Alex. Where you're like, what is this costume?
Murderer?
Yeah. That's the most offensive costume. People are mad about Native Americans
That's
and
a good
blackface.
Point.
I'm
That's
like,
a good point.
Every year somebody does it, and you see women, children, kids, people send their kids out with the fucking eyelashes.
What's wrong with dressed as a Native American? You like that culture, but hey, let's go rape and murder.
He's a serial rapist.
Little kid, I'm going to rape and murder you.
Literally, you see children.
Cute Halloween costume. costume.
adults have their kids dressed. Is this a bit? This could be a
Yeah,
bit.
little kids dressed as Ted Bundy. No one cares. But then you fucking put on a Pocahontas thing, and everyone's like fucking shits themselves. Who gives a shit? You
I
know?
can't wear blackface around the house.
So blackface. It's a celebration.
Yeah. Anyway, we got to wrap it up.
All
This
right.
is one of the greatest episodes of all time. We didn't talk about anything.
It's a show about nothing.
Yes.
Can I just ask one question? I could easily look this up, but you know the jazz singer?
Yes,
That's Al Jolson, right?
I believe so.
And he plays a Jew in it who like wants to be like a singer, right?
Uh-huh.
And it's the first sound movie.
Yes.
But Al
1927.
Jolson, Al Jolson is famously known for being in blackface and everything.
Yes.
Is he in blackface as a Jew in that movie?
I don't know.
I guess I could look it up. But like, Lex, you want to just look it up real quickly? Because that makes sense. Is he in blackface being like, Father, I want to go out?
I think
and
so. Just do an image, probably. Just image.
I feel like the image, the jazz singer. I feel like the
singer.
image has always been in blackface.
Sam Rubinoff's review of Vertigo just came in.
But
Well, that got a little weird. That's a one sentence review.
he's supposed to be a filmmaker. Well, how has he not seen Vertigo?
That's what I said. I said blasphemy. He's like, I've never seen it. And I was like, what are
And
we
then he's
doing
like, that's
here?
a little weird. Who's this
made-
director again? What the fuck?
The man's a filmmaker.
It's blackface, right? So he's playing a Jew in blackface.
A Jew in blackface,
That's
folks.
perverse. So yeah,
Like equals.
I guess the message of the show. I know we're all over the place. We're a little rusty. Joe
Rusty.
refuses to do the podcast. We're a little rusty.
I'm having a great
But
time.
are we doing it now every week?
Oh my God. Don't say that. I can't even think about it. I got 9 podcasts.
We can do this every week. There's no plan.
Tuesdays with Stories, The Regs, Mindful
hell,
Metal
The
Jacket.
Regs?
The Regs. You don't know The Regs? It's sweeping the nation.
What?
Me, Louis Gomez, Bobby Kelly, and Dan Soder.
Oh yeah.
We do it once a month.
So
It's funny because they say women, she's on the regs.
yeah.
It just sounds like regs, but both once a month.
All right. You mean your podcast is once a month?
Yes, in a period.
And is it on the regs or
What
on the
is it?
rag?
Oh, rags. That's what I said. But
Rags.
it sounds like it.
Yeah, it sounds like regs. Yeah.
What is it, your period?
Departed. That I do think is a great Jack Nicholson performance. People deny it. I believe it is. But anyway, so the message of this episode, just a recap is go get tickets to my special.
I
right
thought you were going
now.
to say go Israel.
Go Israel. Go Israel. No, we are just against terrorists killing children, which apparently is controversial.
Yes.
It's like a little controversial to say that, but we're just, if you see a baby, don't cut off its head. That's
Yeah.
all we're saying.
It's complicated.
It's complicated.
That's what that movie's about. Anyways, yeah, we don't, we don't wish to engage in
But
any
also
controversy.
our heart bleeds for the Gaza civilian suffering. It's good podcast for everyone. Heart bleeds for the Gazan suffering and whatever Pete Davidson said on SNL. And
Yes.
so that go to get my tickets to my special comedyseller.com. Stanley Kubrick does not suck, but I think sometimes you should let him be criticized.
Yeah.
Just like Israel can be criticized without being
Of
called
course. I
anti-Semitism.
got plenty of Israeli
Kubrick can be
criticisms.
criticized without you going, that's the point. Kubrick and Israel are very similar,
Yes.
And also, blackface is less offensive than dressing as
Alex.
Yeah.
Alex Adams.
Yeah.
Our producer, our beloved producer. So yeah, and let me plug some live dates if I may.
It kind of messes with the...
November 17th and 18th, DC Improv.
Ooh.
And November 30th through December 2nd, Pittsburgh Improv. What's the best movie to take place in Pittsburgh? I know Dark Knight was shot there, much of it.
Oh.
In the Steelers Stadium.
I actually don't know any movies in Pittsburgh. You say Philadelphia.
That's a fun topic.
I'll tell you Unbreakable.
That's a fun topic.
Oh,
San
yeah.
Francisco has many great movies. Zodiac.
I know. It's two of my favorite
Zodiac,
movies.
Dirty Harry.
Well, it's not like Dirty Harry's a great movie, but yeah.
It's pretty great. It's fun.
But it does have Zodiac and, well, it's funny because Dirty Harry is like a take on
Vertigo, Mrs. Doubtfire.
Oh, yeah. I looked it up. You looked it up too, didn't you?
I didn't look it up.
You just know that?
No, I just had this conversation with Luke Monis recently.
I looked it up because I was curious because I'm like, two of my favorite movies are set in San Francisco, Zodiac and Vertigo.
Yes, and there's others. Mrs. Doubtfire.
I guess it's a lot of thrillers besides Mrs. Doubtfire, but that's kind of a thriller too.
What? There's another one.
What city has the best movies besides New York?
Los
LA?
Angeles,
Yeah,
of course.
or
yeah.
LA.
L.A. and New York are obviously the
And I
top
guess
two
Chicago's
cities for
next,
movies.
right?
Chicago, we did a topic. That was like our second episode ever.
Yeah.
Chicago. Besides New York and L.A., it then becomes Chicago.
Not for me. I'd say Boston.
I don't know. I put Chicago over Boston as far as film look. I mean, Ferris Bueller's Day Off,
I know.
Blues Brothers,
But for me,
The
it's like-
Fugitive,
Yeah, Fugitive.
Every
Every John Hughes
Backdraft I
movie.
love,
Boston, you got Mystic River.
which sucks.
What else do you have in Boston? I guess it's just
The Departed,
The Departed.
Gone Baby Gone.
Gone Baby Gone.
Which rules.
That's three pretty good ones.
Yeah. But and then like the vacation movies, they're not really in Chicago, but it's Chicago based.
Yeah, I guess so.
Now this is a topic for another day.
Yeah, we'll do this for the next episode.
So just chill until the next episode.
Yeah.
Wait, I have another date, January 11th through the 13th. And go check out Punch Up Live. This is the new site to go to, punchuplive.com/Joe-list. And watch Mindful Metal Jacket, for God's sakes. I did one with Raanan. It's much better than this podcast. And punchuplive.com. You can sign up for my email list. You can buy tickets to shows. You can watch my special. And go see my fucking special. Enough for
It's everybody. amazing. It's so
on
great.
YouTube. Thank you.
And yeah, get my taping, but also I have dates too. You can go on Raanan, Hirschberg.com.
They're amazing.
Go Bananas, fucking Dallas, Toronto. Just, yeah. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Sorry we're all over the place.
That was great.
I think it was good, right?
Yeah, don't cancel us. Don't tell
cancel
anybody
us.
what we said.
feel grief for every side.
We love both sides.
We love both sides.
Both sides.
Good people on both sides.
You got that.
And yeah, thank you so much. Baruch Hashem. Oliyav Yisrael. I just get like a Yisrael forever. Wait, what's that song at the end of Schindler's List? They have that. What's it called? No, it's like no, the one that when they're going into Israel, Yerushalayim Shel Zahav.
That's the League of Their Own song.
Is it?
We are the faces of the women's
Did you not know
baseball
Israel's
league.
national anthem is from the League of Their Own? All right.
Anyways, the Peaches. All right.
Thank you.
Good night.
Cut.
God bless.
Joe likes Scorsese, and Raanan is Jewy. It's Joe and Raanan talk movies.